Right at it. Right at it. Oh, he's done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Hello and welcome to episode number 96 of the Go Get That podcast. We are back recapping the Open Championship. We're all back in the States. I know Jordan took an adventure across the pond to go see Royal Liverpool, Hoy Lake. We kind of just want to jump right into that before we get to some of the players this week. Obviously, we will talk about Mr. T23 himself. But
congrats. First of all, congrats isn't a word
yes,
for the T23. Yeah.
Yes. And of course, Mr. Fowler also with the T23. But regardless, Jordan, what did you think of Royal Liverpool?
It was a very cool experience. First time over in Europe, period. So just completely new, different experience. Definitely like their weather over there more than the weather on the East Coast.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, I mean, the high is like 65 degrees every day.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I bet the winters kind of stink though, so.
Yeah. It's
but in the summer, I bet it's pretty ideal.
Yeah. It's very cool, which I prefer to the 85, 90 degree everyday heat in the summer with the humidity. But yeah, awesome. First time in an Open. There were quite a few Americans, so I guess you didn't necessarily feel lonely. A lot of Americans, quite a few staying in our hotel. The city of Liverpool, like it was very packed because of the Americans. I think a lot of people are in town for the Open. Like we were at a restaurant one night, waitress said like not used to all these people. So obviously the Open brought a lot of people to town. And then the golf course was awesome. I don't know how it was on TV. It's probably like a mid-tier Open venue course.
Yeah.
It wasn't there. I mean, even like for me, there are a couple holes that are like 12 and 14 were like very, very similar.
Yeah.
I thought there were some cool holes. The walk was pretty easy for yours truly. Yeah, great time. If you guys have any like questions, I'm trying to think of what I can say, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, to start with like just the course in general, I thought that going into it, I didn't really have many high hopes, but I thought that actually it kind of exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
I still think, as Jordan said, it was a pretty mid-major venue, but I expected it to be, I mean, Thursday morning, I thought it was pretty bland, but it actually had it gave a really cool test to the golfers. I feel like even the old Open Rota venues are like, the bunkers weren't as penal as like this week. This week's bunkers were extremely cool. I felt like they were a real penalty,
That was awesome.
Which is cool. Again, I really think that was probably the only thing that stuck out to me about this course besides the final two holes. Again, 12 and 14 were pretty similar. I feel like the front nine was very bland overall as design. But 17 and 18 were really cool. Obviously, we didn't get the cool finish that we wanted because Brian Harman was up 6. But I feel like if it was a 1 or 2 stroke victory, I mean, the cool thing about 17, 18 is that a 9 or 3 or 2 even could be made on both of those holes.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's really cool. With the out of bounds on the left, down the right on 18, and I feel like the most devastating part about 17 was the bunker long. It wasn't even a bunker; it was like a native area. But like we saw Fitz take 4 shots out of that on Friday.
That was sick.
So like, yeah, I mean, I thought the final 2 holes were really cool actually, but again, we didn't. The final results will kind of overshadow how cool those final 2 holes were. I hope that the next time they return to Hoy Lake, because obviously they will, it's kind of it is a staple to the Rota. I believe it's been there. This is the 4th time it's been there, and third time, 4th time.
It's like more than 13th.
Yeah,
really?
It's been there quite. It hasn't been as much in recent. Like obviously,
okay. So
the Boomers played there a lot.
Okay. So the 4th time in recent memory, at least, since I believe Tiger, Rory, and
Harman. So 3 times in like recent memory, yeah.
3 times in recent memory. I hope, because this was the first time that 17th was really played for this tournament. I hope that in the future when they return to Hoy Lake, that 17th brings a little more excitement down the stretch. But
But
again, the course in general, I thought exceeded my expectations. Again, not spectacular. I feel like it has potential to be better than Troon. I'm not a huge fan of Troon, so we'll see how Troon works next year. But yeah, as for questions, I'd love to know how your viewing experience of links golf differs from the viewing experience towards American golf. I mean, obviously you've been through plenty of American tournaments. Obviously on TV we can see the difference, but what in person, what stuck out to you most? Were the bunkers as cool to look at as they looked on TV? The bunker shots, different shots needed to get out of the bunkers, possibly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I was on our group chat a few times asking what's the lie, so it's kind of tricky to like when you're on
yeah,
seeing what, because like Jay Spieth got, boned a couple times with some lies, and like I had no clue, so I'm like, does he have any play here? No, the viewing experience is nice. The course, I mean, I think that's probably pretty similar with most links courses. They're not that hilly, so that's kind of a nice bonus. A little nicer on the legs. I had viewing on like every hole. I mean, 17 was really difficult because unless you were like posted up
yeah,
there,
that's
you
what I've
couldn't
heard.
really see anything. But I mean, most holes were fine. So that was nice. The bunkers are really cool, kind of as you said. It's just different. Like I'm there and I know you guys are up at like 4 in the morning and it's like, holy moly, I'm on this time. I'm so used for the open waking up 4 in the morning. Like it's dark where you guys were and it's like they're playing golf here. So that was kind of like, I don't know,
Okay.
mentally screwing with me a little bit. Um, what else? Huh. Trying to think what else about the
well,
course.
Jordan, was this?
I was just
You
gonna
go.
say the couple thoughts on the course because I think Bob, you said you hit a lot of it. I was glad that it challenged them more than I thought it
Yeah,
would.
Yeah,
I
same.
think everybody going into the week thought what, like 15, 16 under maybe.
yeah.
And only one, I
Well,
guess the weather kind of shifted on the weekend, but only one dude was above 8 the whole week. Straka
and I
reached
think
8,
that
and that was
that
it.
that that
Other than
Thursday
Honda,
morning
of
kind of
course.
surprised us all as well. I
Oh
mean, the
yeah,
leader after Thursday morning was what,
I think it was 5.
5 under? Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
but like there were not. I mean, obviously the U.S. Open usually when they're hard U.S. Open courses, the leaders usually around 5. Like it wasn't that. It was more the fact that like what 9 players were under par when the morning wave finished. That was like really
yeah.
surprising. That wasn't what I expected at
Well,
all.
yeah, and you saw Rory like grind out a 71, and it's
And
like,
that
man,
wasn't
he's
even a
in it.
bad
Like that
score.
was a great round,
Yeah,
and it's like that makes it a major championship course in my opinion.
yeah.
I loved 17. I think they're changing it. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I saw that they're gonna kind of redo it because the players were complaining about some
Off.
things. So we'll see.
We
Which is disappointing. I only saw it from one place, but
hopefully that doesn't happen because I actually thought it was a really cool hole.
I
Besides
did
the
too.
fact that it didn't really provide much excitement down the stretch, but that was only because there was
Yeah.
a leader by
And
so many
I don't know
shots.
what, like, it's just a wedge. I don't know why they're so mad about it being
I
hard
mean,
in a wedge.
I I understand. I mean, the only time I really watched the hole where it killed the players was Matt Fitzpatrick, and I understand why they think it's unfair because like anytime there's a bunker with grass in it and like that the ability like his third shot when it rolled back in was like completely buried. Like he had a sliver of golf
Yeah.
ball that you could see. Like obviously I don't think that that's like
Yeah.
I can see why the players would think that's not fair, right? Like I mean I understand
Fair
that, but
enough.
like that's like that pin was middle of the green at best. It
Yeah,
definitely
no,
wasn't a
he
bad
hit an
pin.
awful
That was
shot.
a horrible shot that he had to get himself in that position.
Right.
So
So
again, I think that I hope it's similar to the at least the what's the word for it? The scariness that it provides when you're on the tee. I hope that it has that effect in the next time they play here. But
mhm.
again, I think that the challenge that the bunkers and just the course overall gave was the most exciting part of the course.
Yeah. And
Um,
it wasn't even as firm. Like it was, I mean, guys hit into that far bunker on
no,
a 15. Um like 380 to that bunker on the par
Yeah,
5.
yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, this isn't even close to as firm as it was when Tiger won here." And you're just
Yeah.
thinking, like, really? Like, I mean, obviously, you look at the tape and Tiger's, it's like he's hitting on. You see irons and they run for 100 yards, but the fact that that course can play firmer and faster than what we saw Thursday, Friday, and you had one guy at 10 under, which was just insane. We'll get to Harman at some point, but everybody else was bunched at 5, 4, 3. Like, that's what you want going into the weekend at a major, I think. Bunch leaderboard, 25-ish guys under par, but nobody, it's not like 7 guys at 8 or better. It's everybody's at 3 or 4, and that's kind of what you want. So yeah, just that was some things I wanted to say.
Jordan, I'm interested if
Yeah.
was this course the like old style links where it's 9 out, 9 back, or was there because most links courses like St. Andrews, like and Troon, like the old ones are 9 out and then a very lengthy walk to the 10th tee and then 9 straight back coming back the other way. Was that how it was at Hoy Lake?
Yeah, for the most part. 10 green and 11 tee were the furthest holes from
Okay.
1 tee. So
Did the play? So I assume the players took a shuttle from.
No,
They walked.
I think from the
From
range
9
to the
tee, 9 green
clubhouse.
to 10 tee. Yeah.
9 green to 10 tee was very, very close. Yeah.
So what would you say was the longest walk?
So 10 green and 11 tee were they're like the furthest distance away from
11 was the short par 4, right?
Yeah, with the
Okay.
water down the left side,
Yeah.
which was a cool viewing area.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was, in my opinion, overall on the course, it was a classic link style course. It wasn't anything special, I don't believe, for the first majority of the holes. I believe the design was pretty bland, but it was classic links. It wasn't the Renaissance Club by any stretch of the imagination. It was very classic and true links.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's what you want for the Open. It wasn't St. Andrews where everyone was driving par 4s. So to that extent, it was
Thankfully.
cool. At the end of the day, on Thursday morning after the first 5 holes, I was like, "This is awful. This course stinks." But at the end of the tournament, I feel like it exceeded the expectations. So I'd be fine if they came back here. I don't think it was that bad. Obviously, the front 9 was a little bland, but at the end of the day, it wasn't that bad. I feel like it was True Links. It played to the True Links style. The bunkers were really cool. And I believe besides 17, Jordan, you can attest to it being a pretty cool viewing experience. So
Yeah, I mean, I was posting all my videos on my story. I didn't really have many holes. They're like 14 green is like elevated. So the only way you could get to 15T is being below the green, so you really couldn't see anything on that green. You couldn't see putts on 18 very well just because they got the giant ass grandstand. And so unless you're in the grandstand, you really couldn't see a ton on the green. But yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking to myself with how undulating Augusta is. I wonder if there's a lot of holes at Augusta where it's tough to get a good viewing experience just because the property is so hilly and a lot of those greens are elevated. I'm wondering if some of those holes it's tough to see anything because we obviously don't see any on-person, camera or video just because you're not allowed to take something in there. That's what I was kind of thinking to myself, with how that course is so undulating compared to Liverpool, where I got to see most holes. Kind of was a thought that popped into my head.
It's good to hear that it was a good life experience. It's also a good viewing and golf experience.
For 27 holes, I mean, it was awesome.
Right. Well, yeah, we can get to that right now. I mean, we were man. I think
me and Dan Dan and I just talked about this before Jordan entered the Zoom call.
It was 27 holes of we've got a shot. You're feeling the oh my god, here it goes. And then 2 holes later you drop 2 and then you finish at -2, 8 back, and it's where did it all go?
Obviously we look at Jordan in recent weeks and we're like, does he even care, right? It was very nice to hear Jordan could confirm that that Jordan Spieth himself was very invested in the rounds up until the final putt, which is good to hear. And that's not something that we need to know, because I did truly believe that he cared. He cares about the majors, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know about the rest of the tournaments. I hope he cares, but like, he wants to win a major very, very badly. We make jokes about obviously him spending time with his kids too much, but obviously he wants to win a major very, very badly. And it was evident. I mean, I talked to Dan about this before he entered the Zoom call, and I believe that the way that he responded from the double was the most impressive part of the week for me as a viewer. I was actually very pleased with the way he responded. I mean, he went from 2 under, playing a very solid first 7 holes, back to even in 1 hole after really only hitting 1 bad shot, right? I mean, he hit, and it's not even a bad. I mean, it was shank. Like, I mean, that doesn't happen very often. He even tested it never happening before in his career. So, obviously, the shank is.
And they also just didn't find it. Like, that was.
He didn't even try to find it. He didn't. I mean, he spent like 30 seconds in there.
Was it gorse? Like, what? Where did it go?
But I think,
was it gorse over to the right?
It was high grass. No, it wasn't gorse. It was just high grass.
No,
really?
I think it's I bring it up that it wasn't found because typically there's just a bunch of people.
Typically, that'll
see a ball
break.
fly in somewhere and be like, "Oh, it's."
I was shocked he did not ask fans to try and find it.
Well, that's a bad break.
I was itching to go look in there and try and find it. So like, I'm like,
should've.
Jordan, I should have asked, but like he spent like 30, 45 seconds there, and he's like, we're not gonna find it. Which
So he must have struck it and really had no clue where it went. He must not seen
the fans knew where it went. It was in like a general vicinity area, but I mean the grass was pretty high. It was nothing that was like high where that you saw it in play.
Okay, see,
it was like
Dan, you've been over across the pond, but I assume you didn't play golf while you were there.
No.
I don't know really how high that grass gets over in the European.
I'd say it was thigh high.
So I don't know how bad or how hard it gets to find golf balls over there, but the fact that he was able to get it back to 5 under at one point in the following 18 holes was very, very. I mean, that proved a point to me that I've been waiting for him to show me in recent weeks. Right, he responded from the double very, very, I'd say, positively, and it was nice to see as someone who's been waiting, because he's struggled to bounce back to bad holes like that, right? Like, 1 hole kills his momentum. I know we were all in the group chat being like, okay, this is done, right? Like, he's cooked. This is going to kill him. This double is going to derail his round. And he was able to finish 2 under for the day, right? 2 under on Thursday.
Yeah. Well, he got it to 3 under, and then a bad break off the tee in a bunker.
But again, 2 sixes in the first round, and was able to grind out he was top 5, top 6 after the first round. So
69 was a good score.
The first round was not the problem, and the first 27 holes was not the problem either. I mean, he played very well, and the back 9 on Friday was just really bad. Like, I mean, that wedge shot on 11 is inexcusable. Obviously he made bogey, not double, so it was nice to grind out the score there, but like, from 95 yards with that lie, you can't make a bogey from there. You have to put that.
You can't hit it 60 yards.
You can't hit 60 yards.
You can't.
Jordan, I don't know if you saw the lie, but me and Dan saw the lie.
No,
it was not bad at all. It was very, very, very gettable. At the very worst, it should have been on the green 30 feet.
So it should have been inside of their balls. Fitz and Day. And should have been inside their balls.
I'm much more disappointed about that shot than a chip over the green. I feel like the chip over the green was a much harder shot. I think that the most inexcusable part of that hole was the 95-yard wedge. It was nice to make the 10-foot of par, obviously, but
as we go kind of through this back nine, I will say I felt like 11 was sloppy, 10 wasn't ideal, but I thought he played the rest of it well. He just didn't make any putts, and he got a couple bad breaks. And then it just added up to 3 over. Like, you look at 15, perfect tee ball, last roll, it goes into that bunker, has to lay up. I don't think he missed the shot. Like the wedge shot, he hit right at it. I think just bad number, whatever, bad hop, little flyer out of the first cut, goes over the green. Well, and then the putter, man. I mean, we can get into the putter at some point, but it's like it is absolutely, and one of the words I have here on my page of notes is momentum. And you talk about momentum. He built it a little bit Thursday, double bogey setback, but then to grab it back and get to
But
5 under
he
was
grabbed
awesome.
it back, and that was the most positive point of the week for me.
And
was the
then
fact that
and
he
then the
grabbed it back
putter,
after that.
but then the putter lets it all go on Friday afternoon. After he makes the putt on 11, he doesn't make anything of any relevance the rest of the week. Nothing. Like quite literally nothing.
Literally nothing. There was
And
nothing that he made the last 45 holes.
No, exactly. It's the miss like 4-footer on 15 to save par. The miss on
The miss on 15 was probably the most obvious miss like I've seen in my life.
that was
Like it was just like it was
atrocious.
pathetic. It was pathetic.
The miss on 17.
Not only that, he walked out of the putt before it was 2 feet away from the hole.
Yeah. No,
Like that can't happen on.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Miss on 17 was also equally as bad. And then you go into the weekend at 2 under, and you played the first 9 perfectly, and you
So
have nothing to
Harman
show for it. And you're
Harman
8
was
back.
what, 10 under going into Saturday.
Yeah.
So Spieth was 8 back going into Saturday, but he was 3 back of second, 4 back, 3.
Yeah, he was 3 back
Yeah.
of Fleetwood in second,
And again, as
he
much
should have
as
been closer than
yeah.
8.
we'll give credit to Brian Harman and talk about his week in the second, but for someone of his caliber, you expect him to falter a bit on Saturday and Sunday. So you're thinking that you have a chance at 2 under, right? At that point
Well,
of the week.
even on Saturday. Yeah.
And he did falter early, right? So you're going into that thinking Spieth can make a move, and Cam Young made the move that Spieth should have made on Saturday, and that was the most frustrating part, is that he was playing in the same group, and we watched Cam Young absolutely. I mean, he wasn't even making putts. He was hitting wedges and irons to 3 feet.
It was quite the show.
All day. And Jordan, obviously, you were lucky to get to see that in person because he was striping the hell out of the golf ball. It was by far to an exact point what we wanted Jay Spieth to do on Saturday.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't keep it up. I mean, he started off on Saturday really, really bland. I feel like
Well, he was 1 under through 6, middle of the fairway on 7. Obviously didn't par the par 5, but this is kind of the.
But he was 1 under through 6 with a very, again, the putter wasn't making.
No, I didn't make any. Well, except for the putt on 4, and then he
but
just
what was
coughed
the putt
it away on 7. And I think the other thing about the putter.
No, he made a long putt on 1, right?
No, Young did.
No.
Young made like a 30-footer.
But the thing about the putter, and it kind of just
he made a long putt on 1 on Friday, right? Like 20-footer. What was the?
Friday he birdied 5.
I think he parred 1 every day. I think
I might be mistaken. I feel like I remember him pouring another 1.
I can't remember.
Mistaken?
Regardless, there's a lack of I think patience sometimes in his game, and it's like because all right, you're 1 under through 6, and that's not ideal, but if you have, and his approach play was not good Saturday, and that.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking about 4. I thought that was a little early in the round. I wasn't watching at home. I was watching on my phone while I was playing, so I guess I thought that was on the first hole. But yeah, it was what, 15 feet on 4, 20 feet on 4.
Yeah,
that was the putt I was.
But so after the bogey on 7, you have 11 holes to shoot 3 under and be at a good spot. And I obviously bad swing on 8, par 9, par 10, but and then a good birdie look on 11 after a wedge from 100 yards. And it's like, it's not even close. It doesn't even scare the hole. Yeah. And then, there's 2 par 5s coming in. Don't take advantage of those really either. And it's just like, dude, you're at your best, you're one of the best in the world, and you can make birdies on any hole. But it seems as if it's not going perfectly at the start, there's no chance it's going to finish strong at all. And it's kind of that mental, like, it's not that he's not grinding, but it's like he's forcing things that don't need to be forced. Like, let the birdies come. They will. They will flow at some point, obviously. And a big part of that, though, is just the putter. The putter sucks. It is awful. God awful.
Well, we remember Dan. Well, I was actually in the Bahamas when he declared the
Yeah.
putting
No,
recession
it's
of
very much
2023. That putting recession was about this close. We were about this close to being out of the putting recession. And I made a statement that we were not quite out. I said we needed a major to get us out of the putting recession, and we have yet to get there.
well,
We are still very much in the putting recession of 2023.
didn't need to win a major necessarily. We just needed to putt well.
No, I'm saying
at
we need to
big
putt well
moments in a
I'm
major.
saying we need to putt well in a major. to
Yeah,
get
when
out
it
of
mattered. Like, he putted well
Yeah.
at the Masters, didn't matter. Awful at the
didn't, yeah.
PGA, awful at the US. Well, not awful at the US Open,
Well,
but not
it
good.
was.
And it's a miscut, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I believe that at the end of the day, we're looking at, and Jordan can correct me if I'm wrong with the number here, but we're looking at approximately 9 straight majors now that he's putted himself. The putter has been the reason he can't win. I feel like
I'll give you. I mean, it wasn't that bad at the Masters.
Augusta was good, but yeah, besides that,
here's the number I'll give you. So, since the PGA in 2019, where he made everything,
I think I'll give him the 2021. For the first 3 days, he made enough putts to win.
At the Open.
But
yeah,
but here's just the number for you. 17 majors since that PGA in 2019 at Bethpage. 12 of them he's lost, or excuse me, 11 of them he's lost strokes putting. 11 out of 17. And I will, obviously some of those majors weren't great. We also don't have some of the Open data, but he played well in those, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
That's fair.
And he also gained tee to green in 12 of those 17. So it's like, I think we know what the issue is, and you don't need those numbers to like support that, because the eye test is pretty clear. Here's where this guy's not being able to contend/win. And this,
when he putts well, he contends usually.
Yeah. Anytime he gains over half a stroke putting in a major, it's a top 12 at the worst.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so, we talked about it because obviously the putter was abysmal last year. And Jordan mentioned this, I think, podcast Jordan, on his Instagram recap. He said he might not be positive for the year. If you add it all up.
It's gonna be close.
And it's like, it just doesn't make sense that Jordan Spieth could lose strokes putting in 2 straight years.
Yeah.
Like that's not how you top 8 player in the world status.
And I feel like this is a good transition into Brian Harman, but I want to say one more thing about Spieth in the putter.
I
feel
have
like
plenty of more things to say about Spieth before we get to Brian Harman.
Okay, fair enough. But I feel like in terms of Spieth, I feel like on Thursday, I feel like the putter gave me some hope.
Yeah, it was good Thursday.
I feel like I don't think he made the most. I don't know what his strokes gained putting. I'm not the stats person. That's all Dan. I don't know what strokes gained putting was Thursday.
It was like 2 point something. It was good.
I believe he made the thing that made me really happy about his putter on Thursday is he made the putts he needed to make to keep the momentum.
Like clutch par.
And that's what really had me looking forward to the last 3 days after Thursday. I was like, okay, he's making the momentum putts. He must feel good. He must feel good over the putts, because we know how, Spieth can get a little antsy over the putts, and that can kill him with the momentum. So that's what killed me, was the fact that he just started missing everything.
I think in his round 2 interview afterward, he mentioned that he misread a putt on 9, and then we saw him miss a putt on 10. And obviously he made the par putt on 10, made the putt on 11. But he mentioned that then he just started questioning his lines. And you want to talk about bad mentality mentally like not capable of winning a major or even potentially just a normal PGA Tour event. Like, you don't trust your lines because you missed one putt on 9 when you're 3 under through 9 and you're T2. Come on, really? Like, it's mind-boggling that a man who used to just roll everything in now misreads one putt and then misses, another 10-footer to follow it, and it's like, oh, I have no confidence anymore. But that's kind
Not
of
serious, not a serious, person.
it's just kind of, I guess it's kind of how confidence works, but it's also a reminder that, like, I mean, I'll get to this point in a second because I have a couple other things to say.
Yeah, Dan, please open up on what you would like to say.
Yeah, so
I'll-
for the folks that don't, this is my little note. Most of about here to here is Jay Spieth stuff. So
Nice. That's good to know that we have that much to say.
I have a few more minutes on this. Talk about the putter, talk about momentum. Approach play Saturday was bad. I mentioned that already. That kind of cost him. And it was disappointing to see that. And you could tell he was frustrated. Which kind of leads into my next point. I've seen a lot of stuff about Cam McCormick and how much he sucks and all this stuff. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything about Mr. McCormick.
Really?
At least for the swing part. The putter, whatever. Get a new set of eyes.
I feel like you've been waiting all week to say that. I feel like that's been a take that you've had for a while.
I've had it for more than.
You're really
been
not
talking about this
liking
for
the
a while.
people calling for McCormick's head at all.
Cam McCormick has done. See, I was on the side when Spieth was struggling 2020.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, dude needs a new set of eyes. But then he opened up and just said he was too stubborn to listen to people like Cam McCormick. And like he was too stubborn to listen to strengthening the grip. And so then it's like, all right, Cam is an excellent swing coach. He's worked with Tom Kim. He works with Daniel Berger. He works with a bunch of other guys that hit the ball really nicely. And Spieth hit the ball really nicely this week. That is not an issue. And Cam McCormick should not be, berated's not the right word, but he should not be like fired. Spieth's never
not fired.
on from him.
I'll say
But
this.
two, he is not the issue when it comes to a full swing at all. Putter,
Can I give my response? I agree with you that McCormick is not the full problem. However, I do believe that any change in any sense at all would be good for Mr. Spieth. I don't know what that change needs to be. However, I think any change would be good.
well,
I think
with
that,
what? With what? In what
I don't know.
sense? Change
I
with
would
the
just like
putter,
him
I'm
to
totally
try
fine
something
with.
new. Do I think Mr. McCormick should be fired? No. Would I like Mr. McCormick to be a little more involved in Mr. Spieth's open prep rather than playing St. Andrews with his son? Yes, I would like that. However, I agree with you to the standpoint that I don't think he should be fired because I think that's a little extreme. I don't think McCormick is the problem necessarily at all.
Well, yeah, I don't think he should deserve. He doesn't deserve any negative opinion about Jordan Spieth's
Correct.
game,
I
other
don't know
than
about that.
maybe.
I think the only person that deserves blame for Spieth's game is Spieth. I agree with that. Spieth needs to be playing better. I think that's the truth. However, two things. One thing about the swing and one thing about the putter. The putter, I think he should definitely think about seeing someone about that. I think you should see another eye. I think you should get some other sense of look at the putter. I think McCormick's the swing coach. I know Spieth is kind of what brought him to where he is. I don't know what McCormick's like influences on Jordan Spieth's putting game. I know that
think
he's
he probably
always on the
takes a
putting green
look at it.
But
I think
he's always on the putting green with him, so he's obviously
He does everything.
too, in a sense.
Right.
But I
So
think
in
that he should get
sense,
another set of
all right,
eyes
you win,
on the putter. Right?
people.
I know Jordan agrees with that. Dan, I
Yep.
don't know what your opinion is.
No, he can. The putter, something needs to change.
That's my opinion on that. Okay. As to do with the swing. I don't think the swing is necessarily the big problem overall, and I don't think McCormick is the issue. However, Spieth's swing continuously There's sort of a trend of where it starts to fall apart when in the big moments, and I would like to see that change a bit. We get to Friday on the back nine, and all of a sudden the swing is all of a sudden determined by how bad the putter's doing. The putter starts to go to shit, and all of a sudden the swing's kind of falling. I don't love that. I would like to see.
That's like the definition of mental. Like,
yeah, it is mental. So that's why I don't think McCormick deserves to be fired. But I do think that, I don't know if I don't think a mental coach is necessarily what he needs. Is it? Maybe I don't think. I think that's
that
something
might be
maybe
a good
or
idea.
Might be a decent investment from the Spieth camp.
but like again, we talk about the 64 at Trinity that he supposedly shot that someone told me, right? Like obviously he's doing that with no pressure whatsoever, and he's just firing at pins. And Trinity is, of course, that's not too hard to score at, right? But I take that with a sense of with importance, because you're looking at him at the Open, and he's that Friday round, he played the front nine with spectacular play. His swing was spectacular. Why does it go to shit just like that out of nowhere, right? Like that's completely mental.
Yeah.
The putter decides to stop working, and all of a sudden the swing follows. Like that's not how it's supposed to work. Like Koepka gets cold with the putter at the PJ Champ on Thursday and Friday, but he continues just to hit 20 feet, and he waits for him to make.
Well, that's not a
wins.
McCormick issue, I don't think.
It's not a McCormick issue, and that's where I agree.
I
However,
will say,
what I'm saying is I would like to see Jay Spieth make some effort to change something, right? I would like to see some sort of. I would like Jay Spieth to see either this, or maybe he needs another miscut the Masters to just as an alarm.
Not be proud.
Right? Yeah, I would like to see an alarm go off in Mr. Spieth's head, that caused him to do something.
Yeah.
Whether that's go back to Butch, maybe it is.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see another set of eyes in the putter first and foremost. That's my big point. Then he gets the job.
well, Jordan, go ahead.
So I'm not for filing. I like Cam McCormick. I think he's very good at what he does. But my one thing with Cam, especially being there, that is like boggles my mind and enrages me. No player has a coach looking at more swings than Spieth has McCormick looking at swings. And I don't know if that's Spieth, telling him to do that, or if Cam just thinks he needs to be there. But I mean, you watch on the range, there's 15 to 20 dudes. Some dudes don't even have a coach with them. Spieth's got Cam just like, I shouldn't say does not have him. Cam just like lurks, which is annoying. And like Spieth will take 10 swings, 9 will be good, 1 will be bad. Cam will come in and say something. That just like irritates me so much, because first of all, round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, going to a major championship. You either have it or you don't. Having Cam in, last second, I just think doesn't provide any good. So that's what really annoys me about Cam. But yeah, I like Cam. Bob said it. I would like a new set of eyes on the putter. We are so far away from a free flowing stroke. 2019, hitting it confidently, hitting the center of the putter face. It's so mechanical now. I mean, it's incredible. Every time he steps up to a putt, I can guarantee you he's thinking in his head, is my left arm here, my right arm here? Am I settled in?
Well, I remember Jordan. Hey, Jordan, you said, I don't know, you didn't miss an extreme amount of like 4-foot putts this week, but there was one 5-footer. I don't remember which hole it was. There was one 5-footer where he missed, and 20 seconds before he missed, you typed in the group chat, he's gonna miss this. He's been over this for 20 seconds.
2. Yeah. I think it was 2.
Like, it's too obvious.
Yeah.
Like, if you're spending, like, you talk about how he in the practice round makes more putts, and you talk about how on 18 on the final round he made that 4-footer, and he didn't even look at it. Like, he didn't bring Michael in, he just read it and he made it, right? Like, he's spending he's all in his head with the putter, and I don't know how that like changes. I don't know how he gets out of his head, right? Like, I don't know. Like, what is the step there? But it's so mechanical. It's so mental. It's so mechanical with the putter.
He overthinks reads too much.
It's all
overthinks it.
100%. I think to that point, mechanical, like it's all too mechanical. I mean, I think the swing looks really nice now, but it's also very mechanical. It's like
True.
He's thinking about it a lot, And I think that's, at least right now, that's partly why it's not performing under the most pressure. Granted, he hasn't been in any real pressure of any sort in 3 months.
4 months.
I mean, it was good at the Heritage though. So I think like once he becomes comfortable with it, I think it's fine. I will say to the McCormick thing a little bit. I think he might be, and maybe the whole Spieth camp might be a little bit too yes man, yes people. And that's not necessarily, it's not like yes people in that they're enabling him to do things that are overly like powerful. Like sometimes you hear really bad stories about athletes who have yes people in their camp that just give them so much like entitlement. I don't think that's what it is, but I think Spieth's too stubborn and people aren't hard enough to be like, no, that like what you're doing is kind of ridiculous at this point. So in that sense, I think Cam maybe, because like who talked about having a different swing thought going into the US Open? No, that cannot be a thing. Like how is that even remotely like approved? But at the end of the day, like I don't think Cam had that idea. It's just something Spieth's like this, and Cam's like, oh well, you could do this because I know, if you
That
do
seems
this in your
possible.
swing, it could work out pretty well. And Spieth's
Yeah.
like, oh, let's roll with it. And it's like, no, just keep hitting the ball the way you're hitting the ball. Because 8th tee to green this week, that's good enough to contend. Obviously,
Better than Harman.
this week is like, well, yeah, I mean, B Harman made a gajillion putts.
Yeah, I would really like to talk about B Harman one day.
I still have some more Spieth thoughts. And we're
So
getting
please
there.
continue.
I promise you we're getting there.
Dan, I promise you, I am okay. I would love to hear all.
Okay.
I want to hear all.
Because
I wanna hear
I do
Spieth,
really want to talk about B Harman too, because what a freaking performance. But
Yes.
2 more things. One, and these are kind of related actually. So Sunday after the round, you guys probably saw the Andy Lack tweet, right? Where he's like, how come Spieth doesn't get more of the disappointment pie that we give to Rory so often. And so that made me think a little bit. So I'm curious, one, to hear what you guys think about it. I guess I can read it here so that it's like fully contextualized. He says, quote, big fan of both of these guys, but curious why Spieth doesn't get more of the disappointment pie we've given to Rory. Spieth wins 3 before the age of 24. Rory wins 4 before the age of 25. Nothing since. Only difference is that Rory has been relevant in 16 majors since to Spieth's 6. So I had some thoughts about this, but I figured I'd hear your guys' thoughts.
Can we go through those 6 first? Those 6 have to be
listed.
I mean, I don't even, to be fair though, for Rory, like I don't even know. I don't think Rory's been relevant in 16. I think his relevant is pretty generous.
Yeah, I mean, Spieth's been relevant in 2021 Open. I don't think he was relevant in 2019 PGA, regardless.
No.
He's been relevant.
The 2021 Open,
2021 Masters.
I wouldn't even give him I give him 2.
No, see, that's what I'm saying.
Masters. I can't think. Let me look at Wikipedia. Let me see all the yellow boxes.
Well,
I'll give him 3 actually. 3.
And so with Rory, I feel the same. I think Rory's only been relevant in 2, like really relevant. U.S. Open and actually no. I mean it's hard. He was relevant here, but not like in deep contention. Like Spieth's only had one.
All right,
was like legit since 20.
Spieth has been relevant in the 2018 Masters. Okay.
Yep.
Fair. 2018 Open.
I give him that. He was in the final group.
I give him that. He was relevant until the final round. What did he shoot? 76?
It was bad Sunday, but he had a chance going.
Yeah, he was relevant. Okay. 2019 PGA, no. I'm not giving him. 2019 Open.
He was. It wasn't a good Sunday again, but it wasn't.
But I don't think it was there either.
No.
Okay, so he definitely wasn't relevant in 2020 at all.
No.
No. He was not relevant.
2021 Masters, yes.
2021 Open.
I don't give him the 2021 Masters.
I give him the 2021 Masters.
All right, you guys being nice. That's fine.
Well, okay, so let's be nice. 2021 Open, yes.
Yes.
I don't. What was he? I don't give him 2022 Open,
No. That was a
and I
disaster.
Oh, God, no.
No.
I don't give him 2023 Masters either.
No.
No.
So
Because he
that's
led the 2018 Masters at some point.
Now,
He never was leading
so
2020 Masters.
we're looking now, and we're looking at there's 6 yellow boxes since the 2017 U.S. Open. I mean, since the 2017 Open that he won.
I think it's probably
6 yellow boxes.
That's probably what Andy Lack was referring to. Okay,
Yeah,
I would assume.
that makes
Now,
sense.
I personally have 4 count, and I believe you guys agree with me. Jordan, you may even have
I have
3.
him 3, but
Okay.
it's nice. He needs the kindness.
And I don't have the time nor the care to look at Rory's. So,
Well,
I don't know
yeah.
Rory's off the top of my head. either.
regardless, the point stands that Rory has been relevant in more majors than
Yeah.
Spieth since they've won, and I think that's
well,
fair.
real quick.
It's also been
on this-
longer since
this-
Rory won, though, to be fair.
Yeah. On this note of relevance, I might make the case that Rory has only been he's always more relevant / like seriously relevant, but he's only been in it in one more major than Spieth has in the last 10 years.
I'd take him over Spieth right now, though.
Oh, for sure.
I
I'm
have
not
that.
arguing that. I'm just saying like 20 this year's US Open in it. Last year's Open in it. Other than that, I know he's got a solo 2 at Augusta, but Scotty was up by 8.
Yeah, that was.
Or whatever it was. Spieth had the 2021 Open where he was trying to chase down Morikawa. That's in it.
Yeah.
Led kind of after day 1. Other than that, like I don't know. I think part of what has been so fun for Rory fans these past 3 years is that he's like he's been a lot
Consistently
more
good.
he's been a lot more relevant, and he's not really backdooring these T8s anymore. So he might have relevant yellow boxes, but
Don't mean so much to me that I'm just not the kind of person
he
that
hasn't been as like gosh, I don't know. I feel like there's just not as many like super oh man, Rory could win this chances as you might think.
That's fair. I mean,
Well,
I'd
not
gladly
could win,
take Rory's
like-
consistency right
Oh,
now.
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we
And
have
I
Mr. J.
I don't
Spieth, who's just the
disagree
complete
with that.
mess. And I mean, 2 of the majors, he's literally just showing up there to try and finagle something. I mean, the US Open and the PGA every year pretty much are just, the expectations are just low. So that's nice, I guess, if you're a Rory fan, all 4 he can play well at. I think he had a pretty cool stat that I was reading. He has 7 top 10s at all 4. Which, I mean, obviously only 4 wins out of those 30 top 10s, but he's got 7 top 10s at all 4 majors, which I think is really impressive.
Yeah.
It's really cool to have a golfer, or at least be a fan of a golfer that has a really good chance at all 4 of them, whereas Spieth, the 2 are just, I don't want to say throwaways, but I mean, our chance.
That's since he won, right?
No, I'm just
I think
talking
it's
in his
just in
career,
general.
which I think is pretty impressive.
Yeah. But yeah, so relevance in majors.
I mean, Spieth has
but
1 top 10 at the US Open.
yeah. In terms of disappointment though, do you guys have any like I don't know, like what are your thoughts on
I use the
Spieth
word
getting
pathetic. I
more
said
of the
pathetic.
disappointment pie?
Pathetic. I mean,
So
if
you just-
I hold him to a standard from his prime, like it or not. I get people in my
Well,
comments
that's
that are
just
like,
that's just the unfortunate nature of the
Yeah.
fact he had such a good start to his
yeah.
career.
I mean, what else is Jordan Spieth doing? Is he trying to just be worse than what his former self?
Like
That's obviously
you
not
look
the
at
goal.
another sport, and like you have to hold a standard given how he started, right? Like you can't, like if your team wins the Super Bowl, like you can't the next year be okay with a loss in the first round of the playoffs, right? Like you have to hold the standard. I mean, people were comparing him to Tiger, and obviously that's quite the ask, right? Like we're not asking him to be Tiger for the rest of his career, but you have to look at the fact that he is probably one of the most promising players of the last 30, 40 years. given that the start of their career. And the fact that he still only has 3 majors is a little disappointing.
Yeah, sure.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that at all.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And Andy wasn't even really comparing the level of like Spieth to Rory. It was more like the relative disappointment that they should receive given how their careers started and how they are currently going. So I had some thoughts on that. I think Spieth and disappointing is an interesting thing. I think there's more often times where you're disappointed in Spieth day to day, because I think you
Or week to week.
well, I'm gonna say day to day compared to Rory, because I think you'll miss more putts, you won't get the most out of rounds, that kind of stuff. I think Rory knows how to grind out rounds more, or at least does it more efficiently or more often. I think week to week, Rory offers more disappointment, or at least more like heart-wrenching disappointment, because he's there, right? He's right at the finish line a lot. And if you do that, you're going to win some, but you're also going to lose some, right? And it's kind of like going to the Super Bowl and losing that game versus making it to the first round and losing that game, because it's like it still sucks to lose in the first round, but you made the Super Bowl, you were so close to getting the ultimate goal, achievement, whatever it might be. But then I think career-wise, you'd much rather have Rory's career. So in that sense, Spieth is a bigger disappointment, because he was not even about his trajectory, but just like he was supposed to be, obviously at the time when he came in, it was kind of Rory's world of golf, and then Spieth made it his world of golf. And Rory accomplished, one more major, a couple more wins as well. But since then, Spieth has done nothing. Basically, he has 2 wins in 6 years, and it's like that's just a totally different world than what Rory has achieved in the past 6 years, let alone the past 10 years now coming up that he's hasn't won at majors. So, that's kind of my thoughts on that. And then this leads into my final kind of Spieth point. Man, we're at the point where like we've got 9 years of this guy's career, and we've got different sample sizes, and they're all kind of similar. It's like, who is this dude really?
I was just thinking
4
about
years of him being one of the best players in the world, and then we have 3 years of him being not even close, remotely close to the best player in the world, and then we have 3 years of him being the 15th best player in the world. And it's like, so are we even sure that the first 4 years were like who he was supposed to? Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't want to use. I'm not going to use the word fluke, because he was an elite amateur player.
I mean, you look at you. I don't think you can say fluke purely because of the fact that already he's a Hall of Fame golfer.
100%.
Like, I don't think you can say fluke purely because of the fact that his career was so dominant for the first 3 years of his career, that his resume is already so built up that's not like he won 2 majors and didn't do anything else. So he dominated the sport for a good 2 years.
Right.
Some could even stretch that to 3. Like, he was the best player in the world for 3 years, as you said. But you're also looking at it, the perspective I'm looking at it from is that this is the last tournament that Jordan Spieth is going to play in his 20s. He's getting up there, right? Like, he's got probably 10 more years of real contention, and then 5 years of like, he'll be there sometimes, but not all the time.
Champions Tour, baby.
So this is like you think about yourself in 10 years, right? Like, I mean, I'll be 28, 29 in 10 years. Jordan, you'll be in you guys will be in your 30s.
Wrong side of 30.
Yeah. So
that's wild.
When you guys are 30, Jordan Spieth will be nearing the end of his career. Like, to think about that, like, you guys are a few years of college and a few years of a job, maybe maybe some kids away from Jordan Spieth being done with his golf. So like it's coming up closer than we thought, right? And I saw someone tweet about the fact this is the last tournament Jordan Spieth is going to play in his 30s because his birthday is.
Really went out on a high note.
Yeah. I mean,
In a few
finished inside
days,
the top
Tom. I
Last tournament in his 20s, he finishes dead last in putting. Nice.
Yeah. Obviously this isn't basketball, so he's got some time left, right? He doesn't have 3 years left, but he's got it's less than you would think, right? Like he's played almost not quite half, but like almost half of his like real deep.
I was gonna say you could make the case he's played half of his like really competitive career.
Yeah, and
Half of those years weren't competitive.
Awesome.
That's fact.
But the first quarter was just so much better than the second quarter, and it's like
he's a first quarter type of player. I mean,
so it's like which which Spieth is it really? And look, I think he probably will continue to be a really good golfer in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the disappointment part, like we keep getting farther and farther removed from him being the best. And he doesn't even have to return to the best, but it's like
I think his bad years should be like 10th in the world, personally.
Well, you look at Rory's bad years, right?
But that's his good years these days.
That's the problem.
You look at Rory's bad years, and Rory's bad years are what we want Jay Spieth's bad years to be.
Yeah.
The unfortunate fact is that Spieth doesn't have much time to turn this around. And like, if Jordan Spieth turns this around at 36, like he's not gonna go down as what he would if he turns this around in a year, right?
Yeah, but I also like he's at the point now where he should be able to pop multiple times a year at the bare minimum.
The more frustrating part of the fact is that he's not even able to be a Dustin Johnson or like a Keegan Bradley where he wins a tournament a year purely by getting hot with a putter, or like he's like the Dustin Johnson's bad years. Like you're looking at him sides of the spectrum, right? Dustin Johnson's an elite Hall of Fame golfer, and you have Keegan Bradley, who's just like a guy who makes a good living on the PGA Tour, right? Keegan Bradley wins a tournament every year or so by getting hot with the putter, right? In the recent years, right? Like that's how he makes his living. And Dustin Johnson has won one tournament a year.
Yeah, quite literally has won
20 years, right? Yeah. Like Jordan Spieth hasn't done that. Jordan Spieth hasn't got hot putter for one tournament and won, right? Like he's had 4 or 5 years that he hasn't won on tour, right? Like 20.
Well, I mean, he got hot with the putter in 2019 and he didn't win.
Like he didn't win. So
he hit it like a 10.
2019 was the depths of ball striking. So like you can't even like.
I might have hit it better than him.
But 2019, 2020, and 2022, like that's 3 years of his prime almost that he didn't win. That's over 1,000 days.
Yeah.
Not 2023 even. If he hasn't won
like 500 days right now.
2018. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's frustrating and it's disappointing, but you have to look at the fact that I really don't know what the real Jay Spieth looks like, right?
And that was kind of my point. Like I think the sad kind of truth is at this point, who knows? I mean, you don't really know anything going forward. But like there's just every year that goes by, you get flashes, but it also just seems like it's just never that guy. I mean, not that 15th or 17 is ever coming back, maybe from anybody ever, but it's just like that dude. It's the same guy who's in his early 30s and he's not even remotely close to it. Seems more likely than him getting somewhat close to it. And that's just it's like damn.
And it's really disappointing because you look at 2015, 2017, and personally as a fan, and I know you guys maybe as well. I mean, I started becoming a fan of Spieth at the 2014 Masters. So when I watched the 2015 Spieth, and 2016 Spieth, like the 2016 Masters didn't even hurt me as much as like it probably should have. I mean, because first of all, I
Yeah.
was
So long ago.
11 years old. Second of all, I thought it was just like, okay, whatever, he'll just win the next one. Like we overlooked the fact that at how dominant he was, like that we thought they would continue forever, and that just wasn't the reality. But where he is now, it's less than what we thought would be. Like it's not like he's even winning a tournament a year. We're struggling. I mean, we're struggling to win a tournament a year right now as Spieth fans, which is really disappointing. So, and I know this is kind of a recurring theme as we talked about this 2 years ago when we first started this podcast. As Spieth had just made the Ryder Cup again, and we were like so jubilant. But like this is, I mean, speaking of the Ryder Cup, like, are we a lock for Ryder Cups to come in the future? Like, I think this year we are.
Yeah, this year, yes.
But like in the future,
Yeah.
like
No,
if
exactly.
we keep playing like this, are we a lock?
No, I don't think you
it
can
is.
pencil. I mean, to be fair, it's hard. This game is so.
This is not tennis. This isn't swimming. It's not like many of the other individual sports.
Yeah.
Like there's so much competition.
Yeah.
Like you look at Akshay Bhatia winning this week in the alternate event. Like with his game this week, he probably could have beaten the field. He probably could have beaten a normal sized field at that golf course the way he played.
Oh yeah.
Like there's just so much talent.
That course was a pitch and putt.
It was, but like if you put the best players in the world at that course, Akshay Bhatia with his game this week still could have won, and he probably would have.
Possibly.
If the pressure was,
It's freaking Stableford.
it's one thing to beat Patrick
But-
Rogers versus Rory. But anyway, regardless.
My point is that the talent is so
I hear your
long.
point. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
No,
This
100%.
isn't like tennis where there's a clear number one, number two in the world, and then everyone
Rocker
else.
has number one.
What?
Mr. Rocker has number one.
Yes. Let's be very clear. Alcaraz is number one. It is number one in the world. And backed it up with his victory at Wimbledon. If anyone didn't know that he won.
See, I wonder
But,
if he's friends with
yeah.
Rom. Just a point.
But like you look at Rahm and Scheffler, who are, in my opinion, the best two in the world. I don't care if
Is Rory at
who's number
distant three?
Rory's officially number two in the world right now, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, well that's BS. But
He's
I
close
still
to catching Scotty on data golf too. He's
Okay,
getting
I
close.
still believe that those two are the best in the world. And when's the last time I won a tournament?
Who?
Scotty and Rahm.
When's the last time you kind of cut out?
Scotty was
what
the
he said.
Players. Right.
Scotty won at the
Rahm
Players,
was-
and Rom was the Masters.
That's 3 months.
Yeah.
So the best two players in the world have not won. a
Scotty said
tournament.
8 top 5 since then.
But regardless, you look at how hard it is to win at this level in golf. It's just not like any other individual sport. So it's tough, man. It's tough to look at. It's tough to look and try and give expectations for him, right?
Yeah. No,
But-
exactly. One quick thought though, before we finally get to B Harman. And I'm not talking about Butch Harman, Brian Harman.
Both alphas.
Both are quite good at their job. If that putt on the first playoff hole at RBC goes in, we're probably talking about this a little bit differently. Yeah.
Meh. No.
Well, not necessarily the week at the Open.
You cut-
but
you
just
cut
like
out for
this
me. What'd you
career
say?
thought.
What'd you say?
If he wins the RBC, I think this career thought probably doesn't pop into my head.
Oh, that's
I
a
think
good
it's
question. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. Like at the same time, like this isn't like 2021 where he won one tournament and should have won more. Like
Well, he won
Man,
0, and he probably should have won 3 this year.
since the RBC, he's done absolute jack shit.
Yeah, that's my problem. Like, I'm not even mad about the RBC that didn't win. I'm mad that he didn't continue the momentum.
Now,
after that.
now,
That's the problem.
It would have been nice to have the RBC just because of the fact that it would have kind of given him a pass for the year. Like,
I hate
like
these free passes.
Well, just wait
man.
till he wins Memphis, and then he's got his pass for the year.
I'll be honest, like
He's not winning Memphis.
a win at one of these tournaments would be very, very appreciated.
He needs to play
Oh.
Wyndham. That's what I said today. He should play Wyndham.
I agree.
He's not
I agree.
showing up. He's too
He's never
stubborn.
he's never
Is he too proud to show up at Wyndham, Dan?
He has a decent. He has
He's
a
also
decent track
he's also
record, I said.
he
He has a
Carp.
decent track.
He's tired. He's
I
exhausted.
don't give a shit. He needs
He's
points,
Give
number
me a
one.
break.
He's played so much golf in the past 3 months. He needs time off. He needs to relax.
I mean, he's got Memphis, and that's it. That's it. Because Olympia Fields is obviously not going to go well.
Oh, we'll see.
Here is my look here at the RBC. I feel like Dan has. I feel like if we look at this year, and he has the RBC in his back pocket, there are different
It's a
things
little
being
better.
discussed today.
Uh,
However, at the end of the day, we'd still be talking about how disappointing the season it was, but we'd also be talking about from the standpoint that this year and 2021, he has the same amount of wins.
Yeah.
And both very different levels of play.
Yeah, and I think
So it would be interesting. But
Yeah.
again, he didn't win, so we can't
Right.
really.
no, he didn't. And I'm not trying to say.
And he should
Like,
have.
I think we'd
He
still
had
talk.
he had two 15 footers or less to win the tournament, and he missed one.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think that kind of sums it up. I don't think we talk about the Open any
And
differently.
hold
I just
on,
mean
let
this
me just say the unfortunate part
career-wise.
of it all is that both of them were decent putts, which was very.
Well, the first one was I thought the first one was right in the middle.
I guess the second one was a little.
Second one was a
Second
little.
one needed to be hit just a bit hard.
Yeah, it was a little.
You need a little more of a confidence stroke on the second one. But regardless,
He was proud to finish second on that second putt.
he was proud of the finish. Yes.
Yes, not exactly. But you know who was proud of their putting this week? Tommy Fleetwood. No, Brian Harman.
Before you
I do
talk,
want to get
Dan,
to
I'd like
Fleetwood
make
at
a
some
statement
point.
about
But
Brian
B.
Harman.
Harman. B. Harman.
This is not necessarily a hot take. I believe that once you look at it, it will probably be true. But this is probably the most dominant putting performance in major history.
Whoa. Might be.
I
I
believe that I believe that if you look at the numbers, and I'm scared because a man named Tiger Woods does exist, and it's possible that maybe I have not watched his Pebble Beach win in entirety. Maybe the putter was the reason for that dominance. But this week was unfortunately, as John Rahm loves, a putting contest, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Brian Harman dominated this course on the greens. He won by, what was it? So it was at the end, it was 6, right?
Yeah.
He won by 6. And those 6 shots were probably because of the putter. I believe he gained well over 6 shots on the field for the week.
over 6 shots.
He might have gained close to 6 shots to second place. On the leaderboard, not on the putting stats, but on second place on the leaderboard.
He gained like 11 or 12, I think.
So he gained 11 or 12 shots on the green, correct?
I think.
How much did who finished second? Straka and
Tom Kim was second.
Day and Kim.
How much did Tom Kim gain on the greens?
He lost to Harman by that math.
Just tell me how many shots did Tom Kim win?
Harman was 3.75 shots better than Tom Kim on the greens.
Okay,
Total.
so that's let's just round up.
4 shots.
4 shots to second place on the greens.
Yeah,
And he beat him by 6.
I truly believe that this was the most dominant putting performance in major history.
it could be.
I mean, it was better than Cam Smith at last year's Open.
And it's hard to say because you look at it and it's Brian Harman. He's the last person you would expect to have a stat like that under his name.
Spieth.
But Mr. Harman today, this week, had I know that he had the fan heckle him and stuff, but like an extremely impressive weekend. My dad told me in the car, we were going to a tournament. I had a tournament on Sunday, and my dad told me in the car, he was like, Brian Harman won this on Friday. And I was like, no, I think he won on Saturday. The way he handled himself on Saturday after the start was a major championship winning round or finish of a round. I don't think it was really possible unless he completely woke up with the jitters for him to choke on Sunday with the way he was playing.
I mean, even Sunday he started a couple bogeys and then bounced right back, right?
It was
really impressive.
He won that tournament with his finish on Saturday. That was a major championship winning finish, and I believe he went to bed on Saturday night thinking that he had the tournament locked up.
The course just wasn't hard enough on Sunday for him to really bogey that many holes.
But the course wasn't easy enough for anyone to come back.
Well, that too. I mean, yeah, it was rainy, so like
it was really the perfect mix. It was the first time in a long time I feel like someone had won the tournament. And obviously it's tough to say that because you look at Greg Norman, he choked the 6-shot lead at the Masters. But I think he had it won with 25 holes to go.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I just didn't. It wasn't hard enough for anyone for him to come back, and it wasn't easy enough for anyone to catch him.
That was the feel on the ground there too. Like it was
like that's just how it was. And for him to do that, for someone who had not won, he had a PGA Tour win before that.
He won the Deer.
Yeah, so he had
the Deer. He's won the Wells Fargo.
Win?
That was his third win, I think.
So that was his third win. For someone of that caliber to do that at a major,
pretty unreal.
For someone who hasn't really been in contention recently, I mean, he's been playing well, but he hasn't been in deep contention. He hasn't been the story on a Sunday for a long time. It's unreal, man.
Was he like deep contention at Erin Hills, or was it like a second place far back?
No, he was the co-leader.
Oh, okay.
36 or maybe even 54.
Yeah, he played really good at Erin Hills. He got unlucky enough to win there. But Bob's points, I mean, it's been 6 years since he's been close.
Yes.
Again, it was the way he putted for not only for the fact that it was links greens, probably running 10 on the stem max. I assume they were fescue greens like most courses there. So for the variability in those greens to be able to putt like that, the confidence had to be through the roof. And you obviously had to get lucky, but it was the most dominant putting performance I feel like I've ever seen to knowledge in a major championship. It was incredibly impressive.
I think you're right, yeah.
It was by far the most boring major I've watched in a long time. But I have to accept the greatness of that performance from Harman. If that was Tiger, people would be talking about this a little more.
I don't think Tiger won a lot of his majors by putting. He just outball struck everyone pretty much usually.
And I'm not taking that away from Harman because obviously putting, as we know, is the most variable part of the game. But it's just incredibly impressive, man. Like, I mean, I can't sit here and say anything else about it. Like, I didn't watch a second on Sunday because I had a tournament and
you didn't miss
feel
much.
like I missed anything. Like, the only way that he was going to come back to the field was if he made an 8 or 9 on 17 or 18 on Saturday. That was it. That was the only way he was going to come back to the field. I believe that the league got to 4 at one point on Sunday.
I think it was 3. Maybe down there. I think it was
3 on.
I think Rahm was at 7 and Harman was at 10.
Harman was at 10. Yes.
Okay.
And then he went birdie.
To play.
Good night.
Let me just put it out there how impressive it is to be up 3 strokes and play your last 10 or 11 holes 3 under par at a major.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
he was stones, man.
That's a 1 over type of last 11 holes for a solid finish, and he shot 3 under. Yeah. He completely you just can't expect that out of him.
No, you can't. It's hard to expect that out of.
It was by far the most impressive major performance in a very long time. But on the greens, I think it was the most dominant performance in major history.
Yeah.
And I can give nothing but props. I am a huge Brian Harman fan. I think that he deserves it. I couldn't be happier.
The Butcher.
I have nothing against him. I obviously would have loved one of my go get that bets to win, specifically Mr. Fleetwood, but he didn't. And when it's all said and done, I could not be happier for Brian Harman because he deserved it and he earned it, and there's literally nothing anyone can say to dispute that.
No. It's cool seeing
yeah.
It's he's obviously not a no name, but like I mean, if you're a casual golf fan, you probably there's a 50% chance you knew who Brian Harman was. I think it's kind of cool to get one of those guys win every once in a while. And it's happened quite a few times at the Open. You look at I mean even John Daly, you got Ben Curtis, who else we got? There's another American in there.
You think Zach Johnson was like a favorite?
No, but I mean Zach's got 2, so I can't really put him in that same boat. Well, so does John Daly, but yeah.
But I mean, Harman was over 100 to 1 to win this event.
Yeah, and then
I think it was 125.
Yeah,
I think so.
Todd Hamilton, like there's if you look at Data Golf's got this cool like representation of the skill level of each player.
Well, like the more
Open.
impressive part of it all, I feel like, is the fact that on Friday we all were thinking he was going to come back.
Yeah,
like we all expected him to at least come back to like 8 for Sunday, right? Like we didn't, like at least make it something. Especially
he just kept on making putts.
Oh.
He just kept on making putts,
and he was stone cold the entire week. I mean, it was just like there's nothing I can say to like if Spieth was in Fleetwood's position or in Cam Young's position, like I could be frustrated, but like I couldn't even be mad.